So you want to be a Viking? Toph's got the beard. Hello. Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
I'm Brad Lake.
I'm Topher Ferguson.
And we're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. There's a lot of boxes up here.
There's a lot going on.
What
Yes.
are we talking about today? Don't look at the middle so you won't know.
Can you do that again, but this time actually
like
bring it all
knock
down?
everything
Thank
over?
you
Yes.
very much. So today we are going to be talking about Lords of Ragnarok.
Lords of Ragnarok, predecessor to
Lords of Hellas.
Lords of Hellas.
Yes.
Nothing like it.
Well, it's not predecessor to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sequel.
Sequel
to.
to. Yes.
Somewhat like it. Kind of not like it.
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding.
Yeah,
is it's got
it's
some
area control.
Twists and things too.
Yeah. More area
Lords of
control
Hellas,
going
so.
on, I think, than that. I have not played the other, but I have played this enough times, and we will be giving you a review. I have played it. Every time Toph wanted to play it, he wasn't able to. So, in trying to get this out,
Yeah.
Toph will be walking me through some of our points and still being able to give you some of his like general overviews of the mechanics and things like that. But I'll be giving you my BGG rating, so stick around to the end for that. I'll give you the value rating, even though this was a GameFound crowdfunding thing, and I don't believe it's to retail just yet. So we'll go through our pros and cons, my pros and cons of the game, and kind of took a summary of what some of the other people that have played the game with us as well.
Yeah, our gaming group has got this in, but unfortunately this month I've not been able to make it to a lot of our gaming group events, so I have not played it, but here we go. Let's talk about it. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Fantastic. So for those of you who are not familiar with the game itself, Lords of Ragnarok, see how many times I can say that out loud, it was designed by Adam Kwapiński. It is published by Awaken Realms.
Yeah, and if you know anything about Awaken Realms, they are all about the minis.
And these minis are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, if you have any of their games, like the detail on all the little, lines and curves and things they put into capes, and it's really cool. This art style, or the style that the person does versus like Simon, it's different, but there's a lot. I feel like there's more in it, than the Simon.
Simon minis to shame.
Yeah,
and I can't believe I'm saying that. Like
they're gorgeous. They do a great
amazing.
job.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They're a great job.
Well, and the effect you got on them is
yeah, I like the marketing.
fantastic.
So instead of calling it inking or something, it's called sun drop. They're sun dropped. They're so pretty.
So in other words, they're speed painted.
Exactly.
But we didn't have to do it. So
we didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So even better.
So for those that are unfamiliar with the game itself, this is a game that is set in Norse mythology, but it kind of takes a twist on that and brings it into a little bit of a sci-fi theme. It is a game of area control. It is a war. You're going out battling monsters and utilizing God's powers and kind of just trying to take over control of the land.
Yep. So there's several different ways to win in this. The appearance, they've got a really striking board. I like everything about the board. It's easy to read. Now it's got iconography, but this is a worldwide game, so they can't put all the different languages on all the boards. But I really like it. I think the colors are saturated. The minis are gorgeous. They're every color. The boats are all the same, but every color has a different warrior. If you've ever played the Great Wall, all your priests are different miniatures. Like they just gave all of that to you. And then with this pack that I got the terrain so that you can see the different temples and everything three-dimensionally instead of some flat picture from a piece of cardboard that you put on the board. So,
because if that's not gamer snobbish, I don't know what is.
Yes, and then we've got little tokens that are supposed to be part of these ruins, and I like the little cardboard chits more than I do those, to be honest.
I was gonna say, anytime you've tried to teach me the game, you've not had these out.
No, so
this is gonna be loud. Sorry.
Well, they're not sun dropped, so you can't. It's harder to see the symbols. So there's a component that these chits go into. I use that, but I don't actually use their chits.
You could wash these.
You could.
Easily.
I just haven't. So
why not?
I haven't
Why
had
not?
time.
This stuff is awesome, y'all. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 on appearance.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Very good. So what do we have about the mechanics?
Yes. So this game is going to be kind of similar to most of your area control style games. You're going to have area movement. You're going to have conflict resolution, because you're going to have conflict in a game like area control. Conflict resolution with this one, if I understand correctly, is with cards. But the actual fighting is going to be with rolling dice. So you've got dice rolling.
No, that's not. No, it's
Clearly I've not played it yet.
Yeah, so it's, the dice is with fighting the monsters. So when
with
you're
the
fighting
monsters.
other
Okay.
people, it's all card driven based on what you have.
Okay, that makes sense. I was
Yep.
in kind of some of my trying to figure out how to play the game. I was like, I don't remember the dice because I was focusing on player interaction, not the monsters themselves.
Yeah,
So
when
So okay, well there we go. So that explains that a little bit. Hand management, obviously, with your cards. The cards in this game are going to be kind of difficult to come by, which I think is kind of a fun.
They're very stingy.
Aspect. Yeah. You've got open drafting, another thing that Toph hates, but Brad absolutely loves. And slight worker placement. I say slight because it's only a few little places where you're going to see kind of the worker placement. More than worker placement, it's movement around the board.
Yeah, you got some priests that you're going to place on the gods' temples. So that's your worker placement, and it's limited to 2 priests per god.
Yeah, and then also your discs as you're putting them out. Obviously, you can't go in the same place more than once.
Actually, yeah, you can't, but somebody else can stack their disc on top of you. So
I guess that's not really worker placement.
Yeah, that one's, what is that, action selection? You can't have the same action twice.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in this. So I guess that's one of the things that we'll get into. Are we ready for the overview?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
So we've been trying something new, kind of giving you an overview of how the game plays. This is not a how to play, but I'll put something here so that you can kind of see like step 1, step 2, step 3. I'm not doing 900 steps. This is the high level things, but I want you to at least understand what you're doing when it's your turn, right? So unlike most games where it's, I'm going to place a guy out, then Toph would do the same thing, and then somebody else. That's not the way this game plays. And we will get into this in the pros and cons. You do everything on your turn, and then you do nothing again until the turn comes back to you. So on your turn, and I have a cheat sheet here that I have printed off of BGG. God
bless BGG.
When you get into things like this, you guys that make these on BGG, you're the real hero.
I remember years ago, this is so off topic, but I remember years ago when I started playing Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, there's so many things in it, and it was one of the first steps up in like complexity games that I did the same thing. I went on BGG and found this like 7-page, it's a flow chart of what to do when, man, that helps. It's so much.
They did give you, so it's not that this is needed. They do give you that here, but I just find it a lot easier to read, and they add more detail in the sheet that's on BGG. So it does make it easier to teach as well. So I would say there's a definite entry level to this that you want to try to make as easy for people that are playing. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do forging actions and pray, and that allows you can send one of your priests, which priests you just don't have. You actually have to like do stuff to get the priest, and then you can send the priest up here to one of the gods that's going to then give you a action. You're going to level up on these 3 tracks, right? You've got might, you've got wisdom, and then depending on what the other god you may or may not pick, you can move them all around. They give you different things, right? But you're going to have the might. You're going to have, I think, Odin, and I forget what the name of it is, but he is going to, I forget the name. But when you bring your army out, if you're at level 2 with Odin, your armies come out at strength 2. And I forget what they call that. It starts with an A, but that's mainly what his does. And then might with like Thor is how you have cards and how you can go monster hunting. And then Freya is wisdom, and her depending on what your wisdom level is how many of these ruins you can have, because if you only have level 2 wisdom, you can only have 2 ruins, and then that limits you in another section of it. So this is just step one, right? Oh, I can send a priest here, or I can do a forge thing. Then the next section is your hero, and this is not a hero. These are heroes.
Yeah.
This hero here, you get a hero action. So you can either move your hero and your ship.
Or your ship.
No, both.
Both?
You can, yeah, you could do either, but think of it as it's a move action. You can move both of these guys, or you can move one of them, or you can not do either. That's one action. And then the other one is you can heal your hero, and the way that your hero is healed on your track, when you get wounded, you flip over one of these to the other side. That shows that you're wounded. When you have 3 wounds, and you're kind of like weakened, but you're never out of the game. It's not like a player elimination. But to heal it, you get to take one of these and flip it back over, and it falls down. But then you are fully healed. Or if you have 2 or 3 wounds, it's going to take you 2 or 3 turns to get back to full health.
I like mitigation of health.
Yeah, and it's not, you're never out. Like your armies may get reduced, but they just go back to your pool and you bring them out when you need to again. So that's your second action that you take on your turn. Your third action is where you can spin these ruins, and there's 3 different levels of power spinning these ruins. If you have 1 ruin, you can take over a monster that's out on the board, which is cool. We'll get into that in pros and cons. If you have 2 ruins, you can strengthen an army, activate a monster, move it around, a couple other things there. And then if you have 3 ruins, you can do something with your attributes, or you can draw combat cards, and combat cards are hard to get, but so are ruins. So it's like, what kind of a trade-off are you going to have? So that's your third action. Then you're going on to your fourth action, where you're going to activate your armies. You get to move a whopping 1 guy. That's a con, and we'll get to the cons. But out of all the armies you have on the map, you're only going to be able to take 1 guy and move them. So, and they're only going to move 1 space. Or if they're at a special area where there's like a civilized city or something, you can increase one of your armies by 1. So you can go from a strength 2 to a strength 3, or 3 to a 4. But, that's it. There's not a lot going on in that one. You can also move, if you move into another space, you're going to trigger battle. Battle's done kind of like Ankh, with you have cards, or if you've played Kemet, it's not a dice battle back and forth. It's how much strength do I have with all the guys that are in that area, plus cards that I play, and how do they shift things positively or negatively for the opponents. And you just kind of go back and forth until it's done, and then you have to retreat. So, and then your last one here in the middle, we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actions that you can take, and they're kind of like, I think this is a cool area, and it's kind of like your superpower. You go here and you can move a monster, or you can usurp, which means if your hero's next to a land and they're at a certain level, you can like completely just, it's yours. Mm-hmm. Things like that. So, you have 5 things. You're going to do all of them. I was worried that I wasn't going to like this game once I kind of understood that whole mechanic, because it's like I said, you're not doing anything until it's your turn again, unless somebody happens to attack you. So that was my concern with it. And that's kind of the overview of how the game plays. You don't use all the stuff on the board. You're only going to pick 3 of these gods. And then to pick your hero, you randomly get these cardboard chits, and you're going to get dealt 2, and you're going to pick one of these 2. And then they're going to have a special ability, which is another drafting mechanism. You're going to get dealt 1 that allows you to be first player as a special ability, and something else. And you're going to pick one of those 2, and then that keeps going all the way around the table, so that you have this drafting mechanism at the beginning. There's another couple things that trigger drafts as well during it, but there's a lot going on. There's those 5 actions that you're taking in your turn, but there's all these other things. You're like, okay,
reactions,
but it's not as difficult as some games that I've played, but there's a lot going on. Yeah. You just have to realize that. I'd say this is easier than the Great Wall. So for those of you who have played the Great Wall, this is a little bit step down, maybe a half But that's just my opinion. I don't think the Great Wall's super difficult, but the instructions and watching how to play and learning how to play it was harder than this, for what it's worth. I picked this up. It was another Quacklo. No, I think this was Board Game Co. But it was like, I was upset that I missed the Great Wall, and I'm like, I'm never going to miss another Awaken Realms game again. I'm going to get this. I love the miniatures. I'll figure out if I like it later or not. But that was the mentality I was in. I didn't go all in on this. It was like the middle tier, but I made sure I got the ones with the terrain, and then that happened to be Sundrop. I don't think I wouldn't have paid extra for Sundrop, but I'm glad that it has it. I think it looks awesome.
If you're not a painter, I think it would be worth paying for the Sundrop if that was an option, because they look amazing. Amazing. So awesome.
What kind of questions do you have, Toph, or where should we go from next?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we can go a lot of different places. I think one of the things I enjoy about these games is there's a story to them. It's not just like, I love Euro games. Euro games don't tend to thrive in story. But when you get a game like this, you get these beautiful minis, you get this. That's where like game nights sometimes really come alive. So tell me a little bit, I missed out on the game nights of this. I feel like it was overall positive from the gaming group. What was the gameplays like actually playing it?
It's hard to keep track of everybody. I think like you end up with like, it gets very congested, and everybody has, like, at least in the 4-player game, even in 2-player game, you have a ton of these out there. And I would say the only downside to like all the big pieces being the same color is you kind of like which ones are which, even if you're using the ring, and okay, well, all that's out there, and then you've got the two or three or four different armies that are out there. There's a lot, and where's the line, and what's the power, and it's a bit much. It's just hard to keep track of. There's just so many things, and you're just trying to be like, okay, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to try to do this. So from an area control standpoint, you may be able to get away with things because it's not just real easy that somebody can see what you're doing, right? And the way that they've laid the map out, like your ship is essentially a bridge, and that allows you to go to like 5 or 6 different places within a zone. So you're thinking, oh, I'm all safe here, and then somebody uses their ship as like, oh yeah, I'm one away from you because my ship's in that land, right? So, we kind of had this like these ups and downs when we wanted to go fight. Or it's funny when you send in a monster to somebody else's area, and then you try to trample them and reduce their guys. I mean, so there's those kinds of things. I like the monster aspect of it, so I think that was something that was interesting. I don't know if it had a big impact on the game, but it was fun to go and send things at Ashby.
And who ended up winning?
Probably Ashby. No, Alex.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, okay. Ashby won when it was just me and him, though.
Okay, I knew Ashby beat you.
Yeah, I wasn't going to win.
So tell me some of the pros and cons that you have of this game. Let's do pros. What things do you like about it?
Well, besides the appearance, I think some of the things that they integrated into this, like this is you're leveling up these 3 different tracks. I like that. Yeah. I like this drafting mechanism, because it kind of helps you like play different characters, and all the heroes are pretty cool. And then you can look at them and kind of see like, which hero am I going to pick depending on my play style. And I like the monsters that you have. I think it's cool that you can take over the monsters, so if you get the ruins, I like the way that the map is laid out. I think they've done a good job of balancing the map. I'm pretty impressed with it. I'm not the greatest at managing it at times, but the reality is they've done a good job of I kind of feel like some area controls, and I'm not a biggest fan of area controls, really get into this like, oh, they want it to be balanced, and sometimes it's not. I feel like this one is, and it's like you're kind of coming down to the end in the different ways to win. So that's one one or two of my pros. I'm not 100% sure. But the other thing I liked, there are multiple ways to win this game. So you have, and this gets into the complexity of it, or just a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Ragnarok track. There's things that will, if you have, somebody got a monster, you flip over a Ragnarok card. If so many of those Ragnarok cards get flipped over, then it triggers the end of the game and you have one more turn. If somebody gets 5 temples, I think, that triggers end of turn. If somebody kills 2 monsters and then goes and kills Loki, they immediately win. So there's a couple, there's like 3, 4, 5 different ways to win the game. If Ragnarok is triggered, it's whoever has the most areas around the circle that's in the middle. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 3 and 4 player map. So, you know, you're kind of like, we were all watching for the, Ragnarok's going to trigger, is triggered. So we kind of took our eye off the ball of the other ways to win. So we were all vying for this way to get in there. And then all of a sudden, Alex gets 2 more temples and then wins by having 5 temples total, right? Oh, and I remember the other way. So there's 6 different colors of this map. And if you can control 3 of those colors entirely, that's another way you'll win. So
area control.
We're not really sure if that's possible way to win. However, it is available. So but there's a lot going on. Like, okay, somebody has to go here and get a temple. And then once you have enough temples out, that triggers a draft, right? And then you're going to pass around these superpowers, which are really cool. And in the 4-player game, we did the draft 3 times. So you're going to like get a permanent ability to make your guy even more cool.
Oh, that's permanent. That's
permanent. It's not a
one-time
thing. Okay. Yeah, it's a one. You know, like you're drafting, but it's kind of sucks if you're the one that gets it last, right? So, but it's still cool that you're like, oh, my guy now does this, and then the next draft, now he does one thing better, and now you know, like you could really set him up to be a monster killer or something. You can kind of push one way or the other, but it's kind of, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So there's just these neat things going on with it. I could probably go on. I think there's a lot of pros about it, but maybe we should move into the cons.
Yeah, let's hear them.
I'm sorry, I'm talking all the time, but this is kind of what happens, right? I think getting your priests, it's too limiting of a resource, and like I want it to be more fun. I want to feel like a superhero running around these lands. And that's kind of how they like set everything up. Oh, look, you got this flaming sword and this flaming shield and all this techno stuff, and you're badass, right? And then they just limit you every step of the way. You know, I keep wanting to be able to do more. Like with one of your actions, you can only move one guy, one space. I think that's ridiculous. Like, and then there's something in the middle that will allow you to move your whole army one space, but then if you've already taken it, you can't take it again that turn until somebody resets the action wheel in the middle. And so there's just these different things. It's like, I want to be able to get priests a little bit easier. I want to be able to get the combat cards a little bit easier. I want to be able to move my soldiers at least 2 or move to 1. And then I don't know if it's a disappointment or not, but the heroes don't do combat. They only fight monsters.
Okay.
So they can contribute, but like your hero doesn't trigger combat per se. Now, if he's in an area and your people move in, then it does trigger. So I guess I wanted more conflict there. You look at this and I'm biased because I come from like, I love 40K, I like Kill Team, I like Warcry. It's movement and positioning and building your army in such a way, or outfitting your army in such a way that, you know, you're there to fight and roll dice and fight. And it's really not that much fighting.
I think,
and it's area control. Now I'm saying like,
well, I think that's,
but they're selling it like, hey, this is a board game. And I think some people go into Scythe thinking that too, right?
Yeah.
All these cool minis, it's a war game. It's not.
It's not.
You
Yeah.
know?
And that's, I think I've seen, as we've explored the idea of area control games, in my mind, I didn't want to play area control because I don't like the conflict side. I think you envisioned area control to be conflict, and they're not. They're such different mechanics.
Right.
And I think
It's not
that's
that
where
it's not that it's not there.
Yeah, conflict is a part.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it's area control, you've got to take over. But where we have played games like Blood Rage or Inish, you know, these games that are area control, they have a little bit of conflict in it, but not much. You have been so let down by the games, and I think what's going on is you're expecting war,
Yeah.
not area control,
Right.
and I think that's what shocks you. Where I'm like, I like area control, and I hate war games.
Yeah, and I want to be able to maneuver and have more options instead of just I felt like it was too tight, and I wasn't the only one. Like, I think another con is hunting the monsters is cool. This is a fun part of the game. You'll have to tell me, those of you who are experts at it, if you have been able to play it a lot, have you been able to win the game by hunting monsters and then killing Loki? We've not come close. Like, it's a fun thing and it gets you some stuff as you're going, but like, I think I killed I'm not sure I killed 2 monsters. I might have, when I was really trying to be a monster hunter, because it's neat.
Yeah.
But then it was like, well, you've got all these other things that are going on. Oh, Ragnarok triggered anyway. You know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I don't know. And you want to be able to get up on the tracks, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft or anything. I want to level my guy up, and you're not going to be able to level typically all 3 tracks up. You know, so like, you want to end the game kind of like Cthulhu Death May Die, where you're like on this, like, I'm so powerful that I'm killed myself. Like, you know, like, but you're able to get so powerful. That's what makes that game fun. I think they missed an opportunity with these amazing miniatures to just make you feel like you started out as this really cool champion, Beowulf or whoever, and you got almost as powerful as like a demigod. You know, like, you know, you're never gonna be Thor, but you got really close. You know,
or they created a game that perfectly pisses Brad off. I mean, that allows you an opportunity to never get to your maximum, so that you can explore. I don't know. I haven't played this, but I'm wondering if, you know, having 3 attributes that you can level up and you can never level them all up, maybe it allows you to play, you know, Beowulf once by leveling up 1 track, once by leveling up another. So like
different ways to play.
Replayability and yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. So the weight of Lords of Ragnarok, according to BGG, so, you know, that could change a little bit, but as of right now, the weight is listed at 3.69. What do you think about that?
I think it's probably right there.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot going on, right? It's not quite like Lacerda, but at the same time, there's just like, it's a lot, but shallow, if that makes sense. You know how Lacerda's like actions are really deep and there's not many?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things going on, but there's no depth.
Okay.
You know, like all 5 of those actions are different things, right? You can put a priest up here. Okay, that's not hard, but that's just one of the things. Then the next one is you can spin these ruins. That's not hard, but that's another thing. How you attack monsters is different. You use cards and you use dice. Oh, I can control a monster and I can move him, and then that can do some damage to somebody else. Oh, I can move my guy. You know, like all of these things, there's no depth.
Okay.
Like, you know, but there's like, it feels like there's 20 of them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's why I call them, like, it's kind of like wide rule set, but no meat underneath it. Now they all have to interact and work, and that's kind of the gears that they're trying to mesh, right? And that's where your complexity gets into. But I think, to me, the complexity is that there's a lot to manage, needing a sheet to manage it and make sure you're remembering each one of those steps and what they do and how they work. And, this is pointed this way, and this is the Nibelier, whatever is over here. And if I'm the first dice or disc to go here. That triggers everything over here, but anybody else who stacks on top doesn't trigger it. It's things like that, you know.
Okay.
So I would say I would agree with it. I don't think it's a 4, but I could see where some people would say it's a 4. I mean, 3.7 is skewing 7, you know, more towards the 4s for people than a 3. This is not a 3.
Yeah.
This is nowhere near 3. This is more complex than Castles of Burgundy, which is, to me, is the 3.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So that's where I'm at with that.
So accurate. What about value? So currently it's going for about $100 for the core game.
Yeah, if you just want some miniatures where you're going to get like cool ships, cool warriors per character, and you'll get, you know, the set of warriors that come with it and their cards. I don't think you get the double layered boards at $100.
Ooh, that's a deal breaker.
So you'd have to watch that, right? You do get 3 gods that you'll need to play the game. So there's still a lot in that. If you're looking at like Nemesis and Lockdown and those, like that's $150, $160 game. Will this be $100 when it hits retail? It's probably in line. I would say it's not a great value. I'm not going to give it over a 3 at $100. Now, I paid €170 for this plus shipping, so it's over $200 all in, I would say. And this isn't the all-in thing. I'm glad I've got a little bit more gameplay in this. I definitely don't need the all-in. You know, it's playing it has cured me of that. So continue to kind of it's starting to help me remind myself that you don't need all in if you're not going to play it.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't need to give you a completionist. I want more than typically the base, because I want some of the extra gameplay, like throw extra cards in something, get a couple extra miniatures. I want, you know, some stuff like that. I think Awaken Realms does a cool job. Like everything in this box, you won't get at retail, right? I still paid for it. Is that $170, but it was free. Yeah. Everybody paid for it that did the Kickstarter, but it's still cool. And you get extra things. So the value at $170 for what I got, I would say it's a value of 2.
Okay. Wow.
I would say it's a value of 2. I would say maybe just the base game at $100, it's no more than a 3. It's my opinion. I think it's cool. It looks awesome. But, you know, if you're expecting a war game, like Kemet's less, and it has really cool miniatures. Ankh is less, and it has really cool miniatures. You know?
But Ankh is also, well, it's area control. It's not war. Yeah. And
it uses cards when you're doing the battling system. Yeah. You know? So, like, Blood Rage, area control. Like, you know, somebody could look at this and be like, okay, they tried to make their own version of Blood Rage. It's not, but, like, Blood Rage is, I suck at it. I'm not like super, you know, huge fan of it. But you know, you can think of it in those kinds of terms.
That's interesting. I thought you would have rated it a little bit higher, but I do know that this is not going to be something Brad's going to be pulling to the table quite often.
Yeah.
And you bought this before you realized area control is not your thing.
Yeah, this was definitely like, I wouldn't back it on a Kickstarter now. I did not back Cyberpunk because it was another area control, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I like area controls, and it just didn't seem to vibe with me on that one. But you know, and I also like, I'm not going to back every Awaken Realms game just because it's Awaken Realms. I know I'm curating for what I like, what I know I like. So the miniatures are so cool.
They are. Miniatures are fantastic. I mean, and this is just, I've not played the game, so I can't weigh in on, you know, the value, but these are amazing. Yeah. Now, I know this is an expansion, but I mean, these miniatures are fantastic for the price.
Yeah.
Like, cool mini or not, like, they're fantastic minis. Like, Blood Rage is awesome, but Blood Rage also comes with, what, 5 minis per player?
Yeah.
Whereas this is, you're getting a lot more. So where you can probably pick up Blood Rage for, you know, $50-$60, it's not MSRP, but you can probably pick it up easily for that. You are getting a lot more with this, but Yeah.
It's well
interesting.
produced. I mean, like, I try to rate things on value based on the experience you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
If you just want something cool to look at,
Yeah.
that's great. But I want the game to go along with the coolness.
Yeah.
And so for me, and you'll see that reflected in my BGG rating, it takes a hit because it's like, it's really awesome, but I could make all this stuff. I could hire people to do all this stuff, and the game would be garbage.
I was going to say.
And it wouldn't be anything you would want to pay for. So it doesn't matter how cool it is if you're not willing to pay for it. If you don't like the experience once you get it.
But would your minis come apart?
I can make them come apart. I'm a plastics engineer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not hard.
Awaken Realms, this is an opportunity for you to not hire Brad Lake.
I am actually extremely good at all that stuff. I may be bad at board games, but this stuff, I rock.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get to it. What is your BGG rating?
So my BGG rating is a 6.
Okay.
I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And I might be leaving it.
Okay.
So it's cool. I don't want, like, normally I would be like, Toph, let's play this. I don't want to review it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to play it to get you to the point where you would be able to review it.
To be able to review it.
You know,
okay.
like I've played it enough, and maybe I crammed too many times into a short amount of time to be able to talk to you about it. And I know, like, the nice thing is when he's able to say things, there's a lot more I could say, but you don't want to sit here and listen to me talk for 40 minutes. You know, like, you want that back and forth kind of a thing. You know, everybody kind of had the same thing. Yeah, it was fine that nobody's begging me to play this again. I was like, hey, I need to play this again. Can you come and play this with me so that I could get more plays in? Mm-hmm. Nobody was like, hey, I want to go over and play this game with you. Yeah. Like that. To me, that's a 6. Yeah. Right? Like they were willing to play it, but like there's a lot of other games that everybody wants to play.
Yeah.
This is not being requested. So.
And with that said, our gaming group does tend to like area control games.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything against it.
Yeah.
Like,
that may not be your thing, but I know that we've had several different.
They like Blood Rage. They like Kemet. They like, you know, and I like Kemet. I you know, I like that tech tree and how they do everything in Kemet.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's not great, and so that's why I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
So
well, there it is. So that is the BadatBoard Games rating, more so Brad's, but that is
Brad at Board Games.
Yeah, Brad is BadatBoard Games. Rating of Lords of Ragnarok. What are your thoughts? You know, let us know down below in the comments. Have you played it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Would you agree that Brad sucks at area control? You know, we'd love to know that down in the comments. So
it's just in general. Board games. Brad sucks at board games.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are not yet subscribed, friends, we would love to have you as a subscriber to the channel so that you are updated on new videos that come out, whether they're reviews or just Brad making fun of me.
That's why this channel exists now.
I feel like it does only exist for that reason.
It's for me to laugh.
At my expense. So.
This is the best part.
Here we go. The truth comes out.
And just remember, no matter how you play, whether it's solo, with family, or friends,
enjoy whatever games you're bringing to the table.
Have a great night.
Bye.